So my tutorial today is going to cover single table queries using SQL, and I'm going to just work through a couple examples. The first thing I want to start with today is just a little vocabulary here, and that's the use of standard record format. And this is another way for us to display a table. In the background here, I have a table, and in this table, I'll take a look at it right here. The name of the table is called BBC. And it has the following 5 fields. It has a field for name, this column here. It's got a field for region, this column here, area, population, and then this is gross domestic product, is this last field here. And so a nice way of writing the structure of this, and not so much the information that's in that table, but the structure in that table, is to say, all right, here's the table name, BBC, and then I use parentheses. And inside there I encapsulate each of the field names. And so if somebody wants to look at the blueprint for what that database or what that table in that database looks like, say, well, I got 5 fields in it. The name of the table is BBC, and here's their exact spelling. Okay. Other thing, and I'm using Notepad here, so this is a text editor, and I can't really use anything to underline this, but if I could, I would have the primary key underlined, and a primary key uniquely identifies one record from any other record in a database. So a nice easy example of that is your 790 number as a University of Montana student. That uniquely identifies you. So if there's 2 people with the same name, well, we avoid that by giving them different student ID numbers. Alright, so I would underline the primary key in this particular database. It's the name of the country. Alright, so BBC is a database of countries, and it just contains information about where their region is, what their area is, what their population is, and what their gross domestic product is. Alright, so let's try and write some queries now, and we'll use this. I'm at the SQL Zoo website, and from there I can use that as kind of a sandbox, and a sandbox is a nice term that we use a lot in the IT world, places that are kind of safe environments where we can play with code and experiment. Okay, there's 4 descriptors that we use when we're talking SQL. I always like to put my cap lock key on and write my SQL statements in all caps. Right, the 4 I have is select, from, where, and order by. Now you don't need to put these on separate lines, but I think it really helps, and I usually do. It helps me kind of organize my thoughts. All right. So to go through these real quickly here, select allows me to choose what fields I wanna go ahead and show. For all my queries here, I'm using a database BBC, so I'll put BBC because it's the name of the table. And then where allows me to set a filter. So where certain records have certain values, I could put that in there. And then order by allows me to sort. So I could sort by ascending order or descending order, and I could define the field that I want to sort by. Okay, so let's try a couple quick ones here. Let's say I just want to see the name and region. Okay, I don't want to see area, population, and GDP. All right, so I'll say select, name, and then I separate fields by a comma. So, and I need to be precise here. If I don't spell region right or don't spell name right, I'm not going to get the appropriate response. Okay, so I don't need these 2. I don't need a where or order by here. And what I could do is take this now, and I can test it on the SQL Zoo site. All right, and that's the beauty of a sandbox. But here's the correct format for it: select space name, comma space region, and then from BBC. And what I'd like you to do in this assignment I've given you, would be to go through and write the queries and just document them. This might be query number 1. So just put number 1 on a word processing document and write the query, and I'll go back and grade those accordingly. All right, but you can also check the syntax because you're going to use the same database. All right, so I'll do that. I'll just use one of these little boxes they have, and you guys can read through this information here. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put my query in, I'm just going to do a copy and paste. So here it is: select name, comma, region from BBC, and I submit my SQL query, and just below it, it should show me select name, region, and then from BBC, and I have an error. Let's restore that here, and I think it doesn't like the fact that I'm using multiple lines. Okay, so let me try it again. Paste, let me take this out. Okay, so it's going to be just a little bit picky here for me today. Alright, so it's gonna have, I'm going to have to put this on one line the way this sandbox is organized. So select, right, the field name, the field region from the table BBC. I get an error again. What the heck am I doing wrong here? So one other little issue that we have here is that particularly this this tool here is case sensitive. So I used my caps in my example here where I said select name region from BBC. Well, this is actually the way that this is set up. This is all lowercase. So here's my error in this. And I believe GDP is that uppercase or lowercase? No, it's lowercase as well. Okay, so case sensitivity, we talk about being precise, and I wasn't very precise here. So we'll do it again. Okay, so we're going to say select name, lowercase, region, lowercase, from BBC. Let me copy and paste that now into my query. Hopefully I'll get, okay, so then I get a correct result here. It says too many columns because actually it should say too many rows, not too many columns, but you'll see it truncates here at some point here because it can only fit so many in this particular space. Okay, so there's our first lesson here, I guess, is that with the select statement we choose the fields, and then with the from statement we're able to choose the table name. Okay, let's choose something else here. So I'm going to use the where. Remember we got where and then order by. Let's say where, and we'll use a different field here. We'll say population is, let's say, less than 100 million people. 100, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's see what happens here. So we'll look for the name and the region from the BBC database where the population is less than 100 million. So we come in and I'll do a copy, I'll do a paste, let me submit my query. Hopefully I've done a good job writing this. And so here are all the countries where the population is less than 100 million. Let me do one other here. Okay, let me flip this. Let's look at where all the countries where population is greater than 100 million. This might be a little easier to identify the results. Okay, so you look at some of the names here, and China is definitely greater than 100 million. India is greater than 100 million. Mexico, Japan, Nigeria, and of course the United States of America, which we know has around, I think we have about 350 million. Not sure how recent this data is, but you can kind of see. And then if I want to add another field to it, let's look at the population. So I'm going to say name region population from BBC where the population is greater than 100 million, and I should get a third column. And there we see my third column there. So there's name, there's region, this actually shows the population. Okay, well, let's write one more query here. And we flipped it on this. We flipped it when I see the ones that are greater than 100 million. And let's use a sort. So by the way, this is called a filter. This limits my results so I don't show all records, but I only show a subset of the records, known as a filter. And now I'm going to use some sorting. So I'm going to say order by, and then I want to choose the field. And what the field I want to choose here, I might as well finish my query here. Let's choose population. So I'll say order by population. Alright, so now we're going to show the name, the region, and the population from BBC, and I'm going to sort in ascending order. That means smallest to lowest, or smallest to largest, excuse me, because that's the default, where the population is greater than 100 million. Copy, paste. Alright, and so let me test it out here. So I submit my query, and in my query you'll see now that I have sorted it, and of course Mexico is, according to this database, just over 100 million. And of course the most populous place on the planet is the country of China. Alright, last one here. let's sort that in descending order. So I want to see the top, or the most populous country, and we'll go down from there. All right. So let me take this where out. I don't have to have this. We'll say select name, region, population from BBC, order by population. And the last word I'm going to choose is DESC, which is stands for descending order, which means from largest to smallest. Let's see if we've written this query. And again, I'm doing this to check my syntax and also check my logic, because I can go down here and look at my logic as well. And this one's easy to check my logic on. Okay, so I should anticipate that I'll see China as first here, and then I should see all the countries. Let's see if we wrote this right. And of course, we got lucky and did, right? No, we're knowledgeable and we know what we're doing here. So we go from China, India, United States, Indonesia. And you can see everything is sorted by the largest on top. Okay?